Hello and welcome to another edition of Another Book Review. This week I'll be reviewing Warren Ellis' novel Gun Machine. I'll talk a little bit about my history with the author, go into a brief spoiler-free synopsis of the plot, talk about what I liked about the book, what I didn't like about the book, who I would recommend the book to, and I will finish off by talking about what I'm going to be reading for next time. So Warren Ellis is, I believe, a British author. He's probably still best known for his 90s comic graphic novel Transmetropolitan. He's also written a superhero comic with The Authority, both of which I've read in the past and both of which I've really liked. He also has other graphic novels to his name, Ministry of Space, which I still haven't gotten around to reading. But he's fairly well acclaimed in the comic book graphic novel world. And this is actually not his first novel, but it's the first novel of his that I have read. And what this is, Gun Machine, is about a detective who stumbles upon a cache of guns that have all been used in unsolved mysteries in New York City. So that's a brief spoiler-free overview of the plot. He becomes the lead investigator on that case to find out who has used these guns. Quickly finds out that there's a serial killer involved, and the book is essentially him trying to track down the serial killer before he becomes a victim himself. And so it's kind of a tried and true trope of detective fiction, even things like Silence of the Lambs, similar in some ways plot to that. So, or at least in that same vein. So I did really like, similar to Transmetropolitan, Warren Ellis has a style that is very obsessed with cities and how people form cities and kind of the micro societies within cities. There's touches of that in this novel. It's not the main point of it, but there's a couple of points in the novel where he touches on things like that, and you kind of can see that the book is kind of 5 minutes in the future. So there's some technologies that we really don't have in our world, but they are part of this one. I think the action scenes in this are really, really well done. There's two or three especially in the novel towards the end that are really good. The last major action scene at the end of the novel I thought was really well done. I think the secondary and tertiary characters to the book were really well written. They didn't have, obviously not being the main character, they weren't given a ton of screen time. The book really does follow the main character, John, the main detective John, as he is on the case for this killer. But with that being said, I think there's enough for the secondary and tertiary characters to do to make them a little bit more than cardboard cutouts, which was nice. I think his writing style, I think at times it was a little difficult to follow, but I think when you kind of got into, like I said, the action scenes, that kind of sped through those. Some things I didn't maybe like as much, and I guess this point is kind of really to your own personal taste. I thought that the book is very grim. So there's a couple of points in the novel where the character is driving in his car listening to the police scanner, and you kind of hear the different crimes that are going on in the city. And it's a much, much more violent place than the New York City of today. It reminded me a little bit of the movie Seven, if anybody has seen that. This was kind of had touches of that, and I'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. There are a couple of points in the novel where there are coincidences that happen, and I realize there are coincidences that happen in almost all novels, but this one especially, there's kind of a plot point that hinges on a pretty large coincidence that I kind of picked up on, and it was not necessarily distracted totally from it. Didn't pull me completely out of the novel, but it was definitely something I looked back and went, playing a little fast and loose with the plot there. There's also one or two characters who don't meet, how do I say this? The fate that they suffer is maybe not proportion to how much you like or dislike that character, is really all I can say about it without getting into spoilers. Overall, I did enjoy this novel. Like I said, it is kind of dark. I don't know who, I don't think I would recommend it to teenagers necessarily, but maybe someone who's a fan of David Fincher's Seven, if they like that movie, or if they like serial killer fiction, I think they should give this a try because I think it's a little bit of a different take on it. I thought the characters were engaging, and the action scenes especially were well written. So that's my review of Warren Ellis's Gun Machine. And next time I will be reviewing Paying the Price by Sarah Goldrick-Rab. Till next time, please feel free to like the video, leave a comment below, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on Twitter. I will have my Twitter link in the comments below. Till next time, bye.